few more insights to share about the deeper reaches of the art of contemplation as I've laid it out. And I've laid it out in this little book, as many of you will know. So the first level is, the technique is called pausing. The second technique is called pivoting. The third is called merging. With the first one, it relates to the mind. Pausing gives space for the mind. The second one, pivoting, gives space for the emotions, so that the emotions can have a breakthrough. So you have insight from the mind, breakthrough for the emotions. And finally, when it comes to the physical body, we have merging, which leads to epiphany. Epiphany is the word. So epiphany is of the body. And an epiphany, what is an epiphany? Epiphany is a cellular explosion. It's a cellular transmutation. You know, one of the other ways of understanding, of coming to grips with our shadow patterns, with our challenges in life, is through these three words: allow, accept, embrace. And this embrace is the third layer. You know, so again, allow is the first one, accept is the second, and here the deep core work is done in the cells of the body. So for a truth to emerge out of the practice of contemplation takes time, and it takes time to really come down into the physical body. And when it does come, it comes as an epiphany. It comes as a cellular kind of, it can come in different ways for different people. It can come through tears, you know, through an intense rush of truth. It can come through a sort of deep explosion of joy or laughter. It's something that ripples through your body. You know, it can come even through an illness, you know, but the illness has a different quality to it. It's a breakthrough illness that leaves you in this higher state because your body is shedding something. It's shedding a difficult memory pattern. It's actually being burnt from your DNA by the awareness that comes from contemplation. So merging is a beautiful experience. It's very mystical in that sense. And it's where contemplation gives way to its higher state, which is a state called absorption. You know, contemplation then begins to turn into this state called absorption, which is more of a mystical state, and in which our body starts to secrete hormones, you know, through the pineal gland and pituitary gland, that allow us to access deeper states of wisdom that are ongoing. So at the higher reaches of contemplation, we enter into these higher states that are, but they're not taking us out of the body. They're actually taking place deep in our body, in our life, and they can come rhythmically, you know, and so you know, that's where contemplation can take us. It is an infinite unfolding and an infinite merging. And we merge deeper and deeper into the field, into the different dimensions of time, beyond time and space, you know, and it just continues to open, you know, like the petals of a flower. And the opening that contemplation leads to is endless. It's endless and infinite. It's important to understand that there is no end to it, you know. So it is a constant journey of explosive journey of awakening, you know, through layers and plateaus and, you know, and mountains and hills over hills, you know. So it continues to open us from the inside out, and after a while, contemplation becomes more than a habit, more than a technique. It becomes a custom. Becomes a custom of who we are. You know, it's like it's deeply embedded in our nature, and it becomes mysterious in that sense, because suddenly we're no longer doing the technique. Almost the technique is doing us, and there's a sort of reversal. And that's where the heart begins to really open up and, deliver us to the other side while staying here. difficult to explain the merging. I mean, some of the things that go with it, like one of the qualities that comes is the quality that the ancients call ahimsa. Ahimsa means harmlessness. In other words, it's an emanation of harmlessness that we give off, because there's so much truth emerging through our being that the one thing that overrides all others as an impulse in us is we want to love people. We want to serve everything. And so this essence of harmlessness comes through us, like you wouldn't harm anything, and it's the purity of the heart that just is seeing its own essence in every creature, in everything, in every person, in every being, and even the shadow states. This is the, in merging we start to see even in the shadow states, even within evil and corruption, we start to see the light there too. And we begin to leave the game of revolution and empowerment, and we begin to enter into this wider field where we see everything as conspiring towards the light. Everything moving, even in its dark phases and its, challenges. And so we become very blissful in that way. The other thing that comes with this stage is humor. Humor, great humor. And the humor comes from stepping out of the game, of realizing that it's a game, realizing that it's a drama. And that does not take away one iota from our empathy with those who are suffering. In fact, it surrounds that, it contains that. And the humor doesn't have to be expressed. It's a background awareness that allows us to take life lightly, even when it's intense. It allows us to surrender and let go to ever deeper levels and layers. And that humor is wonderful as well, because it's sort of the crystallization of divinity, humor, in a way. And there's these moments of just it's the trickster of, built into nature everywhere, that you think you understand something and you don't. It's like you're just constantly vaporized. All your knowing is vaporized by the void, by the great mystery. And so the great teacher, can always surprise you. Someone was telling me a story the other day about Jesus, when after he'd resurrected, and they told this story about how the intensity of that resurrection, and then he comes back and he appears to the disciples for the first time, and the first thing he asks, I don't know where the story comes from, the first thing he says is, "Have you got any food?" It was just this lovely moment. It's like, "Have you got any food? I'm starving." It's just been on this journey. Anyway, it's like those kind of moments that transcend understanding, but give you an insight into truth and the wonder of truth and how it's hidden in all these unexpected places. So it requires a huge openness, and that's what merging gives us, this massive openness in our being, so that the unexpected can appear at any point in any way. And I hope that gives you a flavor of merging, and it comes right back to those pauses. Every pause that we take is an invitation, a possibility for greater merging. And they can be the tiniest moments. Our merging can be the tiniest little things. This morning I went out to watch the sunrise, and as I was out there communing, beautiful sunrise, I turned round and I saw on the ground one of these little beautiful wild lilies, and it was like that shape, like this kind of beautiful crescent shape, and kind of like a vagina, and in there is this little stamen, so it's like really phallic, but it's looking towards the sun. I just became entranced by this creature and how it had shaped itself and grown there, and I kind of, I was just staring at it for hours. It seemed like hours, just contemplating it as it lapped up the sunrise, as I was lapping up the sunrise, and I realized it was me and I was it. I was this representation, and there was I in another form. And like, our contemplation takes us to the most unexpected little places sometimes, where something mysterious just opens up, and we realize we are that. We begin to merge deeper and deeper with nature and with life and the events in our lives. So it's a really it's the greatest teaching. It really is. The art of contemplation. Just keep exploring it. Just keep exploring it. It can become the central, most important thing in your life, and I hope it does.